Scoop.
Nice suit.
All right, welcome to Speak for Yourself, a safe space for football fans.
Yeah.
All right, coming up,
Say it.
we'll tell you if Mitchell Trubisky finally silenced his critics last night. And an hour from now, we'll tell you why Dak Prescott still hasn't gotten paid. But we start today with the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, when it comes to dating, I've been compared to the old school Chicago Cubs, the lovable losers. It's true. I'm not ashamed. I've been dumped more times than Khloe Kardashian at NBA All-Star Weekend. But like Khloe and the Cubs, who went 108 years without a World Series title, I'm a legend in these streets. And it's just like I told my last girlfriend. Good luck finding someone inside your nursing home to replace me. Nothing worse than trying to replace a legend. That's the lesson Carson Wentz is learning in Philadelphia. It doesn't matter what he does or what his teammates don't do, Wentz can't replace the legend of Nicky Foles, the heroic backup who led Philadelphia to its first ever Super Bowl title. This morning, there's a headline on the USA Today website that asks, when will the Eagles be able to count on Carson Wentz to win close games? Ouch. The Eagles lost 27-24 to the Detroit Lions on Sunday. Philly played without his two best receivers, Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson. One of their replacements dropped a would-be game-winning touchdown pass in the final second. Philly's entire offensive line was captured on tape, standing flat-footed and spectating as three pass rushers buried Wentz. Look at this. This is incredible footage. Philly's linemen owe Wentz and the rest of the Eagles an apology for this mind-blowing lack of effort. The Eagles can't count on their offensive linemen to do their jobs in close games. That's why the Eagles are 1-2 and are in a must-win situation Thursday night at undefeated Green Bay. Philly, allegedly the most talented team in the NFL, is already 2 games behind the 3-0 Cowboys in the NFC East. The Eagles are the league's biggest disappointment so far because Wentz's teammates are failing to do their jobs. The stories about offensive linemen are boring. So let's focus on Wentz. The USA Today story goes on to point out that the Eagles are 6-8 under Wentz since he returned from knee surgery early in the 2018 season. They're 4-7 in games decided by 7 points or less. The problem for Wentz in Philadelphia is he provides cover for everyone else's failure. All Eagles failures are interpreted through the lens of what Wentz didn't do that Nick Foles might have done. It's a built-in excuse. Human beings find built-in excuses irresistible. Well, if I wasn't so busy, I'd cook at home and avoid fast food. I just didn't have time to make it to the gym this morning. Jason Peters, Jason Kelsey, and Lane Johnson, the core of Philadelphia's offensive line, they're no different from me or you. Give them an excuse and they'll run with it. Carson Wentz isn't as popular inside the Eagles locker room as Foles was. Wentz makes the most money. He can't compete with the legend of Nick Foles. The tall tale says Foles made Philly special. Or maybe Foles' real magic was making the rest of the Eagles feel important, needed, and special. When I look at the tape of the Philly offensive linemen doing nothing, they appear to be saying, Wentz doesn't need us. And that's the problem in Philadelphia. The attitude of Wentz's teammates isn't right. Let's quit blaming Wentz for that. All right, joining the desk now are Fox Sports NFL analysts Eric Dickerson and Mark Schler. Marcellus, I'll start with you.
Yeah.
Y'all didn't laugh hard enough when I said I was dating a woman in a nursing home.
It made our expectations.
That was real.
Be true. I mean, you're blurring the lines here. It could be real.
All right. Is Carson Wentz taking too much heat for the Eagles' slow start?
No, he's not taking too much heat. Look, I could go down the list and everything you said in statistical form. Losing team since he returned from injury last year, that's damning right there. We could talk about no Alshon Jeffrey, no Deshaun Jackson. Hey, double Zach Ertz and you got this offense. We get all that. Offensive line, futile effort, getting sacks, giving up sacks. But let's talk about this. When you get all the money, you get all the hell that comes with it. You get all the criticism, you get all the scrutiny, and we know that. And these football players are simple, but they're smart. Hate when people say that football players weren't smart, because I'm going to apply right now the substitution theory of geometry to this situation in Philadelphia. I've been there before, and we all know the substitution property, don't we? I bet we don't. All right, let's go back to my 8th grade year, when if there are two congruent properties, then you can exchange them, and everything works out just fine. You ready for this, Whitlock? If Carson Wentz is supposed to be who he is, and he's better than Nick Foles, or at least comparable, then we should be able to exchange them in this system, and it just runs as well as it did with Nick Foles. Problem with it is the results are not the same. So now we have to start to look at the individuals. Carson Wentz puts up numbers. Carson Wentz was a former MVP candidate. Carson Wentz, we know, has been undermined by injuries. But that's not how players think. We're smarter than you think we are, and we're also as simple as you think we are. Why aren't we as good with you as we are with Nick Foles? And until you can answer that, we could riddle off stats, we could riddle off numbers, we could riddle off situations. But players are feeling this deep down in the primal sense. This team is better. This offense runs better with that guy who's gone more than the guy who's getting all the money right now. Got to fix that equation in their heads.
It's interesting you bring it up because chemistry becomes such a big part of football. The chemistry we have, the believability that we have in one another. Now, do I think that Carson Wentz takes too much of the blame? Yeah, but get this. The quarterback position, you should deflect 100% of the success or the credit when it comes your way, and you should accept 100% of the blame. And that's part of playing quarterback in this league. 7 drops. You mentioned the offensive line. They thought, like, to me, that's a group of players that are playing with a body clock. And you know what a body clock will get you? A body clock will get your butt beat. That's 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, and I'm spent because the ball should be out, right? And when you start to play like that, I don't necessarily look at the players and say they stink. I look at the coaches and say, what are you coaching? Because you're either coaching it or you're allowing it to happen. And if that's what's being allowed to happen, then you're not supporting that quarterback. And so I look at this as more of a team issue than a Carson Wentz issue. Carson Wentz is a damn good quarterback, but he's not getting the most of out of his team, and that goes back to the coaching staff and what they're allowing to happen within that organization.
Well, when you're a superstar, and I'm not bragging, but I have been a superstar, and sometimes it's no fun, and you do get all the blame, even though other people around you are not playing well. Being running back is really hard because you depend on the guys up front. And I went through it. Well, man, you're not running. People will say he's not running the same. It's nowhere to run. I mean, it's a little different. It's nowhere to run. With Carson Wentz, you can say that Alshon Jeffrey's not there, Deshaun Jackson's not there. You need those guys. Those are the guys that was there through training camp. You worked. You know them, and all of a sudden now you got backups. And backups. That's why they're backups. They are backups for a reason. That hurts this football team. Most definitely. I look at they won the Redskins game. They beat the Washington Redskins. They came back. They had Atlanta beat. He brought them back. Carson Wentz did. Now, it's not on him that the defense gives up a 50-yard screen to Julio Jones. Julio Jones.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Julio Jones.
Julio Jones. I mean, that's not his fault. So, I look at the offensive line. At one point, yeah, that's a team effort. I think that they might have thought the ball was out. You can see they didn't lay down on him. It was like, the ball ain't gone yet? Everybody come back to block. And
Marcellus made a great point yesterday, though. That was a 3-man rush. That means 8 people are dropping. That means you need to block longer.
Longer, a lot longer. So,
yeah.
I still say that all the blame is not on Carson Wentz.
It also means at some point, if you can hold them out for 5 seconds, which they did before he got sacked, somebody, to your point, I don't care how many guys you have back. If I can't, we used to say it in Denver all the time. Mike Shanahan used to say this all the time. If you can't beat man coverage, you know what? You're going to be selling cars. And the bottom line is, it's not his fault that Goddard dropped a touchdown pass. There was another pass that was dropped. 7 passes dropped within this game. That takes him from a 50-whatever percent completion percentage up to a 72 if those balls are caught. And those are 2 touchdowns, and they're giving up 26 points a game. So there's no question it's a team effort, but the easiest guy to point, to your point in your essay, the easiest guy to point the blame to is number 11.
I'm going to circle back to you, Mark, because you're the only one here with Super Bowl experience. My point previously has been, I think the Eagles, other than Carson Wentz, still have a bit of a Super Bowl hangover. They're satisfied.
And what were they drinking?
They've accomplished. Carson Wentz rode the bench or was hurt and wasn't a part of it. The rest of these guys, from the coaching staff to the guys on the field, they're satisfied, in my opinion.
Well, I don't know that they're satisfied, but right now, when you put on the film, they're not executing. So is that because they're satisfied? Is that because things are hunky-dory. I don't know. I can't read into their minds. But the bottom line, if you want to have success, you have got to go out and you have got to execute. And you've got to catch those balls. And you've got to do those. The difference between winning and losing in this league is razor thin. And it's about guys executing at the point where they're asked to execute in the critical situations. And when you put on Philly and you study on tape, they don't have enough guys making plays in critical situations.
I want to say this. It's unfair that he's getting this criticism, but it's a reality. You can talk about 7 drops and missing all these players. Nobody gives a damn. Talk about a running back right here. Oh, man, there's nowhere to run. We can't block them all. No one gives a damn. We need to see 1,500, 2,000 out of you, ED. When I played, oh, they double-teamed me. They triple-teamed me, Marty, Bill Parcells. We don't give a damn. Because here's the equation that I think players always look at when you talk about the highest paid on your team, but still up and coming. I was that guy in San Diego. Objectively, you're the highest paid. We can see your contract. Good Lord, you're making money. But subjectively, are you the best player on our team? So when we have that equation, we start to get into some chemistry issues, some perception issues, and then you rely on numbers like this. That solves the equation for the players. Look at this in fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drive opportunities. Guess who's the worst among all active quarterbacks? Carson Wentz. Now, so look, I'm just trying to create the psychology around why we have issues for you, why we don't block for you, why you can see there's some chemistry disturbances here. It's because you're getting the most money, you haven't accomplished the most, and are you really the best? And then when money time comes, you're not one of the worst, you're the worst in the NFL. You calculate all that, now you can see why the players act like
that. You have to still look. Carson is still a young quarterback. I mean, he really is. He's a young quarterback. I mean, and I think, you know, at the quarterback position, you expect so much out of a guy that was at one point possibly going to be the MVP before he got hurt. So I see all, you know, all the criticism that goes along with it. But, you know, like you said, when you play that position, and you're the superstar, you get the criticism. But he still is. People understand. He's still a young quarterback. And I like him as a quarterback. He's still a very good quarterback. I mean, I would be happy to have him on my team because he's not winning. I mean, that's not all his fault. It's like, I can't throw the ball and I can't catch the ball. I can't be the quarterback and I can't go make the tackles also. I play quarterback.
Well, let's ask this question. Thursday night, they got to turn around on short and play the Green Bay Packers, one of the best teams in football. I see it as a must-win. I think the following week, I think they play the Jets. And then after that, it's a tough stretch of games for about 4 or 5 weeks. The Cowboys, off to a 3-0 start, probably get to 4-0. I see this as a must-win game this Thursday.
And I don't, because I take that literally. Like, when you say must-win, that's a literal statement. And it's not. Let's just be real. If this team loses again and they go out there and they're 1-3, like, sky's not falling. I've been on the 0-3 team that won 10 games, made the playoffs. So we know mathematically they're not out of it. So it's not a must-win. We also know that the Dallas Cowboys more than likely are not going to win all their games. And you have 2 games against them to bring them back to you, make them regress to the mean. Look at the Cowboys' next 6 games. Saints, Packers, Jets, Eagles, Giants, Vikings, and then you got to play the Eagles again. So there is a silver lining in case they lose again. Hey, we're not out of it mathematically, and we got to play them boys twice.
This is what I love about the NFL. There's only 16 of them. So as a player, they all feel like must-wins. You know, you get to that point where you're always kind of mashed down on the panic button. They have got to play better. They have got, I mean, I understand that it's not a must-win, but I get your point. And it's starting to feel like it's getting late early if you're the Eagles right now. So that's part of the reality of the way this league operates. But this is such a week-to-week league, and you'll see a team that drops an egg that looks horrible one week and bounces back and has a great week the next week. So, you know, is it a must-win? No, but it's certainly starting to feel like they're in that kind of crunch time.
It's a must-win because they fall 3 games behind the Cowboys. Because you got to understand, they're going to lose again. They're just not going to run the table. That's going to happen. The Cowboys may lose, but you still